A young man who lives in a time when life on Earth is in danger of extinction. He must go to the future to alter history and save humanity. His decisions will determine life or death during this chaotic year. That's why, today in 2067, our story begins with news of the devastation global warming has caused worldwide. With environmental catastrophes that are causing plant life to disappear. As a result, a disease spreads rapidly due to the lack of air. That's why people resort to artificial substitutes to survive the imminent oxygen shortage. Meanwhile, on the streets, people seem desperate, with some falling ill and others committing near-mad acts. Now we meet Ethan, a hard-working, ordinary, decent young man, trying to cover the medical needs of his wife, who is ill. The next day at his workplace, he is surprised by a man who says he has orders to take him to the office, and his friend Jude decides to go with him. Both are brought to Chronicle's offices, the company that supplies synthetic oxygen to the inhabitants in this world. There, they are received by director Regina Jackson, who strangely suggests to Ethan that maybe he is the one who can save everyone on the planet. In the laboratory, they show him a secret project his colleague has developed. Meanwhile, a scientist notices the red-lit bracelet Ethan always wears on his wrist. Ethan's father worked in that lab, leaving a significant legacy in space-time travel advances. We don't know what happened to him, but it's clear Ethan didn't like discussing his father. Director Regina tells him the first tests were successful, with radio waves that, after bouncing back, had returned altered with coded signals from the future. Ethan's friend asked if it's a time machine, and both are surprised to hear that the results come from hundreds of years in the future, with a message that they decode so Ethan can see it. Convinced that future survivors of the coming extinction sent that message to save the population. They hope Ethan will be the first human to travel through time while they take oxygen capsules in a bar. Ethan confesses to his friend Jude that he won't leave his wife Hamte alone and that he won't accept the director's proposal, but he reminds him that his father believed that a journey through time could be the solution to the problems the planet was facing. But at that moment, Ethan angrily remembers that his father left him a suicide note when he was 8 years old. He blames him for his mother's death, but his friend urges him not to repeat his father's mistakes and to save his wife. This brings back his childhood memories, recalling the day Ethan turned 8. Episodes in which Ethan's father gives him that birthday gift with the firm promise that he would become someone important, while at the same time fleeing the place. Back in the present, Ethan is convinced by his wife to take that trip for a second chance for everyone. Again, Ethan remembers it like his birthday. His parents were outside while he ran out of oxygen and was rescued by his best friend. Persuaded not to let his wife die, he insisted she receive the first dose of the cure. He sets out on that mysterious journey that would give Hamta a second chance. Ready for a one-way, uncertain journey? With his name on the suit and only an artificial intelligence device called Archie, Ethan embarks on the most dangerous adventure of his life and the most important journey in human history. After his literal launch into the future, Ethan falls from the sky onto some bushes that fortunately cushion his fall. This is where things get interesting, because when he wakes up with parts of his body wrapped in flames, he wonders, where is he? Or better yet, what year is it? Amazed to see so much age and vegetation, he realizes that he is alone. After a while, and with Archie's help, he finds the remains of a corpse with a gunshot wound to the head. First of all, he notices that the skeleton has a bracelet just like his. Then he notices the clothes look like his, and we're amazed by his discovery. At that moment, Ethan is shocked to discover that even another version of Archie is deteriorated and damaged by the passage of time. Almost sure the corpse is himself and he'll die searching for the cure. He removes the bracelet from the body. This one has a green light, unlike his, which is still red. Regardless, they keep searching. With Archie's help, he finds several objects from his world, giving him hope for answers. When night falls, he tries to eat some unknown fruits from the area, but when he does, he starts showing symptoms of poisoning. While in the rain, he spots a bright light falling nearby. then sees a figure chasing him holding something. Ethan tries to escape, but his health stops him, and he's caught by someone who stabs his chest. Later, Ethan wakes up in front of the fire, thinking that being wasn't real. Then he realizes that it's his friend Jude, who explains to him that he was sent to save his life after his vital signs were compromised as a result of the poisoning. They both began searching for clues that might lead to a cure. Soon after, they find a facility entrance with a computer that welcomes them and gives activation instructions. This makes us ask the same question as our protagonist. Activate what? Maybe that doesn't matter now, since following the instructions causes Ethan's bracelet to start sampling his DNA. The light turns green, granting him access to what looks like a replica of the time machine from Chronicles, which begins a countdown with the destination date set to 2067. There, Ethan realizes that every step he takes could be the same as the ones the corpse took, so he fears getting closer and closer to that fatal destiny. After decoding the Chronicles, he sees a hologram of his father delivering a recorded message. Let's return to when Ethan's father performed his first successful test. This created a message that, once decoded, matched the one Director Jackson showed him and requested be sent. Meanwhile, the facility's artificial intelligence warns them of another problem. Ethan and Jude now have to solve the power shortage in that time, because otherwise the facility could blow up in a nuclear explosion. At the end of the countdown, but if they solve the power issue, they would only have a few seconds for the launch back to their own time. Suddenly, Ethan is filled with doubts. For example, they sent his friend to meet him in the future instead of someone possibly more qualified. For that reason, he decides to find answers and also the cure for his wife before time runs out. While searching, he finds several corpses with oxygen masks, including his wife's body, in a former classroom. Ethan's memories return us to when he was 8. When his father asks him over the phone to go for a walk with his mother, suddenly a man chases them with a gun and shoots his mother. That man takes off Ethan's oxygen mask and he faints, waking up when his friend Jules puts the oxygen mask back on to save his life. Unable to help his wife, he wonders if there's another way as his friend's attempt to cheer him up alarms him.
But maybe it's better this way. No one will keep suffering.
The same phrase appears in a recording on the corpse's Archie just before a gunshot is heard. Ayut looks surprised when he hears his voice in the recording and asks for an explanation. Ethan initially accuses himself of going crazy. When he asks for the gun, it's withheld and he's forced instead. Resolve the power issue 2 hours before the nuclear blast. After failing to fix the energy issue, the facility begins to evacuate some areas, closing doors. So Ethan, despite his friend's disagreement, decides to stay locked in the service chamber. Trying to perform a maneuver to divert the energy and fix the problem, Ethan manages to restore power with only 37 minutes left before the portal launch. He finds an exit from the facility, which coincidentally leads to his skeleton. Realizing that fate continues its course and that everything he did was meant to happen, is he convinced that when he goes back to the past, Yut would shoot him? Then a discussion begins where Yut mentions a plan he doesn't want to give details about and tells Ethan that he's only trying to protect him. Apparently, Yut wants them to stay and survive instead of returning to their own time. But Ethan refuses to let everyone die and plays a birthday recording of his father admitting he made a mistake. Yut interrupts the recording and damages the connections to avoid hearing the message. Ethan locks him up and resumes watching the video. Ethan discovers his father recorded the call on his birthday, the day his mother died. At the end, the recording shows the moment when Yut enters, along with the director of Chronicle and his father. He won't let him continue with his plan. The director's plan, revealed here, was always just to save herself and a few chosen ones. Yut is finalizing designs for the project started by Ethan's father without his approval. His plan was to send someone who could fix the energy problem, promising to bring a cure, but instead, they would use the portal to escape from that time and abandon humanity. Ethan's father says only Ethan can open the system he set up, and the director, seeing that she won't need Dr. White anymore, shoots him, while also ordering Yut to protect the boy until he's ready for the journey. After Ethan saw this, Ute breaks free and tries to justify himself in front of Ethan, which doesn't work because the furious Ethan decides to finish off that machine no matter what. The skeleton's archive recording now repeats when Jewel draws his weapon and points it at Ethan's head, demanding that he fight, but Ethan shows him that he trusts him. Ute apologizes to his friend without lowering his weapon from Ethan. An epic, suspenseful moment where everyone awaits the inevitable shot. We eventually learn it was Ute who ended his own life. At the Chronicle facility, selected people are scanned and taken to the portal. When the director, excited, gives them instructions before the launch. Meanwhile, Ethan recalls his father's words when giving him the gift as he cancels the launch, and instead he sends a message to the past. At this point, we know that Ethan was the one who sent the initial message, the one asking for them to send him. The same message reached his father when he was 8. The director orders Ethan killed once they cross over and instructs her team accordingly. But her plans are thwarted when the transmission is interrupted and the portal is shut down. She realizes that instead of the long-awaited trip, Ethan sent them a huge amount of bushes to ensure humanity's survival then and damage the machine. The principal was jailed for possessing a large amount of vegetation. Along with the anonymous transmission of the recording where he shoots Ethan's father, finally Ethan's wife receives a message from him, a gift from the future representing his promise to give her a second chance. On the other hand, in the future, Ethan visits the sites where he and his wife's skeletons were found and is surprised that neither of them feels fulfilled by being important to humanity, contrary to what his father claimed. The story ends with Ethan living the rest of his life alone with his memories. That was 2067. Like, subscribe, and enable notifications so you don't miss future videos.